Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. Look, I know that there are some who will never see a bias in anything and just presume that our systems work, colorblind, efficiently, effectively, and without consequence to certain communities. And I wish that was the case, but that is simply not the case. Freddie Mac published a study last year on the topic of appraisal bias, and one of the key findings of that study was that appraisal gaps in minority census tracts is not being driven by a limited number of bad actors, but rather that, quote, a large portion of appraisers are generating statistically significant gaps. Ms. Taylor, can you give a brief overview on the standards for housing appraisers, particularly whether they are required to go under any kind of bias training?
Thank you for that question, Senator. Currently, there is not a requirement for appraisers to attend fair housing or bias training. Mm-hmm. Although there are several states that do require it, it is not a requirement for certification.
Well, that appraisal workforce is a shrinking field with more than 12% decline in appraiser credentials since 2011. At the same time, that workforce is becoming less and less representative of the population. A survey from the Appraisal Foundation found that 68% of appraisers are male, 92% are non-Hispanic whites, and 2 in 3 are 55 years or older. So I understand maybe why some of the appraisals are skewed, not because I said it, but because Freddie Mac said it. I don't think Freddie Mac is a flaming liberal organization. When a homeowner receives a discriminatory appeal, they suffer a tangible financial injury. Consumers shouldn't have to bear this cost, and in many circumstances, they're unable to bear it. Brookings estimates that the appraisal gap can cost homeowners in majority black neighborhoods an average of $48,000. What legal recourse do victims of discriminatory appraisals have?
Thank you for that question, Senator. Under the Fair Housing Act, individuals who have been discriminated are able to file a complaint through Housing and Urban Development, Office of Fair Housing, Equal Opportunity, either the Department of Justice, if there's believed to be a pattern or practice in that area, and under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, if one would believe that they've been violated under that particular purview.
So they can file a complaint, but by the time how long does a complaint normally take to get processed? Do we have any idea?
Well, by statute, we have 100 days under the Fair Housing Act to investigate a complaint of discrimination.
Yeah. So 100 days probably puts them outside of the time in which they're trying to buy that home, because I don't know of too many, having done real estate transactions when I was a lawyer, I don't know of too many transactions that will allow you to wait 100 days for a closing. And so it basically puts the individual in the challenge. And so he or she loses out on one home because of an unfair appraisal. Okay, so they file a complaint. Now they go to buy another home, and maybe they suffer the same set of circumstances. So it's a never-ending challenge for that person. And I have also seen that as if appraisal bias that routinely costs Black and Latino homeowners tens of thousands of dollars wasn't bad enough, these communities are also getting hit with inflated tax bills. Research indicates that Black-owned homes are consistently assessed at higher values relative to their share price than white homes. And that, combined with the prior administration's changes to the state and local property tax deduction, minority families are being hit with higher tax bills on undervalued homes. Is this something that your department has observed? And if so, what can be done at the federal level to deal with it?
Thank you for that question. We, in the PAVE Action Plan, speak to tax assessments, but we've also acknowledged and determined that it is a complex set of circumstances that differed from the scope in which we were evaluating home buying discrimination in the appraisal process and refinance processes. Tax assessments are often a very local initiative and controlled by local, political processes, and therefore was something that we were unable to, in the narrow scope of time of this particular report, were able to address and identify. But we do have that, purpose for future.
Well, I hope you will pursue that. The final question, if I can, Mr. Chairman, in all of this, would housing counseling help someone navigate these challenges?
Thank you for that, and absolutely, sir. You'll see in the PAVE action plan that we've identified that appraisal bias training will be a part of HUD's housing counseling operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator.